Crossing the boundary of a black hole is entering a place where the fundamental rules of reality begin to fail. Everything that defines matter, form, and movement becomes influenced by forces so extreme that they become almost incomprehensible. The initial approach seems calm, silent, and slow, as if space were trying to disguise what lies ahead. But each meter traveled brings the body closer to a boundary from which there is no return, where the universe begins to behave in ways that defy even the most advanced theories of modern physics. The surrounding light begins to bend in strange ways, as if space were twisting invisible lines that guide existence itself. Distant stars seem to stretch, creating luminous trails that reveal the gradual collapse of spatial geometry. Even so, to those approaching, everything seems extremely normal, almost too calm. There is no wind, tremor, or any typical physical sensation of danger. It is a silent, deceptive approach, where nothing reveals the true scale of the abyss that awaits just ahead. As the final threshold approaches, there is a feeling that time is changing its behavior. It's not something that can be perceived by the ordinary senses, but perceptions begin to become disjointed. The interior of the spacecraft, the body, or the environment seems to respond to different rhythms. The external universe slows down, while the internal one remains constant. It is the first clear sign that the event horizon boundary is near, the exact point where time ceases to be the same for internal and external observers. Outside this boundary, an observer would see the approach slow down until it almost stops. The image of the falling person or object would become increasingly slow, as if time had frozen. But for those inside, the movement continues with normal fluidity. This extreme difference in the passage of time creates a profound disconnection. The external universe seems to recede while the body moves irresistibly forward. The horizon boundary functions as a broken temporal mirror, where each side experiences time in a completely different way. The moment of crossing the event horizon is paradoxical. There is no impact, no sudden light, no sudden change. Nothing indicates that an invisible barrier has been crossed. But from that point on, destiny becomes irreversible. Space begins to guide everything in a single direction, not like a tunnel, but as if the very structure of reality had been tilted inward. Freedom of movement disappears no matter where one tries to go. Every trajectory points to the same point, the singularity. Right after crossing the river, gravity begins to change its behavior. It doesn't suddenly become stronger, but it starts acting unevenly on each part of the body. The feet, head, hands, and torso are pulled with different intensities. This difference, called the gravitational gradient, creates a stretching force that grows slowly but steadily. At first, it's imperceptible, almost like a gentle pressure, but with each kilometer traveled inward, it increases without pause. This progressive stretching generates a strange manifestation in the body, the sensation of being stretched in multiple directions at the same time. It's not ordinary pain, nor is it comparable to known physical strength. It's as if the internal structure, muscles, bones, organs, and even molecules, were losing its ability to hold together. The natural limits of matter begin to give way. The body starts to behave as if it were made of long fibers being pulled towards the central darkness. At the same time, time continues to behave anomalously. To the one falling, everything seems relatively normal, but the surrounding environment changes shape. Light begins to stretch into strange colors, tending towards deep red. This occurs because space is so distorted that even the path of light itself is affected. Visual reality begins to appear blurred, stretched, and out of focus, as if everything were moving away from the observer even as they approach the center. The body gradually ceases to react like a solid object. Molecular bonds begin to vibrate and weaken. Each cell is stretched beyond its limit. It's not a violent rupture, but a continuous process of elongation and deformation. It seems as if the black hole is dismantling matter piece by piece, rearranging everything in forced directions. Physical identity slowly begins to disappear. Deeper within the horizon, the notion of direction begins to dissolve. Space is no longer a place where you can choose paths. Instead, it's as if the environment is collapsing in all directions at once. Trajectory is no longer a voluntary movement. It's a condition. The body moves not because it chooses, but because space inevitably pushes it. The surrounding light now takes on almost abstract patterns, stretched trails, shapes that fold back on themselves, shadows that are projected without an apparent source. The environment seems less a physical space and more a distorted representation of gravity itself. The body finds itself trapped in an inescapable flow, unable to stop or slow down. The fall is not a journey, it is a transformation. Within this deep region, the structure of matter begins to lose its fundamental integrity. Not only muscles and bones, but molecules, atoms, and even the smallest particles are stretched, following the extreme curvature. Matter reorganizes itself into fine lines that all point toward the same destination. It seems that everything is being redirected toward a single order imposed by absolute gravity. A person's physical information, memory, form, atomic structure, begins to be irreversibly distorted. Physics says that information cannot be destroyed, but inside a black hole, it ceases to exist in its original form. It spreads out, loses coherence, flattens against the surface of the event horizon. Nothing that composed it remains recognizable. The fall seems to extend infinitely. The singularity is not a point that approaches, but an inevitable state that defines space-time itself within it. The further one progresses, the more impossible it becomes to distinguish distance, direction, or depth. The body is stretched to a point where there is no longer any physical structure capable of existing as before. The final process is neither an impact nor a collision. It is a gradual disappearance. The body ceases to be a body, ceases to be matter, ceases to be identity. What was once someone is now merely a pattern of distorted information trapped in internal space-time. The dissolution is complete, not as destruction but as rewriting. The singularity represents the ultimate limit of what the universe allows to exist. There is no witness, no perception, no thought. It is the end of all processes as we know them. The fall ends when there is nothing left to fall, when existence itself ceases to be something continuous. The reflection that remains from this phenomenon is unsettling. If everything is deformed to the extreme, but nothing is completely destroyed, what does it really mean to disappear? What remains when physical identity is reduced to unrecognizable fragments? This is the paradox that black holes present, an absolute end that even so retains an echo of everything it has consumed. Black holes are portals to the limits of our understanding, frontiers that show how much we still don't know about the cosmos. Each theory attempts to explain a piece of this abyss, but none can fully describe what happens inside. They are regions that defy any certainty, any logic, any common sense. And it is precisely this mystery that continues to fuel human curiosity. The more scientific advances we make, the more we realize how much there is still to learn. Black holes are not just astronomical objects, they are reminders that the universe is bigger, deeper, and stranger than we can imagine. If you want to continue following investigations like this, leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Every interaction helps bring new content and new explorations of the darkest and most intriguing phenomena in the cosmos. There is still much to discover, and this journey is only just beginning.